Coming up on Smart Tech Today, Matthew Cassinelli and I break down some of the biggest news at CES. It's smart things left and smart things right all around. Bring it in tight. That was a rhyme, and I did it. And it's CES packed, jam-packed full. You got to check out this episode of Smart Tech Today if you want to know all the CES news.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Now you can look forward to a successful new year where you can get a new career in IT with the best IT education around. Visit itpro.tv/smart for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription and use code SMART30 at checkout. Hello and welcome to Smart Tech Today, the show where we explain the exciting, the dynamic, and the, well, sometimes confusing and maybe overwhelming subject that is the Internet of Things. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I am Matthew Cassinelli. And this is CES week, which is
CES.
Not quite the same as it was for last year, especially considering I drove all the way to Las Vegas last time, and now CES
that was
didn't
wild.
really happen.
You did do that. I can't believe you did that. I still am shooketh that you made that trek last year. That drive. Yeah, because I remember you trying to find a place that you could
like the day before.
Stay. Yeah, and did you enjoy it for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, I think one of the most interesting things was just having kind of like a stake in the ground to compare to year over year. So like now I know what happened at the last CES more than I would have ever cared to pay attention to before. And now I can like have that, I think just like the progression of the tech world in a much more like roundabout way, especially just how the year progresses too, is actually helpful for me, because otherwise I could tend to go around like Apple releases during the summer and things like that. So otherwise January almost never meant anything to me before, because I never had to like work CES or something. And I just see like, oh, like 12K TVs or something. And it never really mattered.
Right.
So,
yeah. It didn't have quite that same punch.
That might be some of the trend again this year, but
yeah, exactly. Larger and larger televisions. So this year is a little bit different. Nobody is there in person. They did a lot of, well, I shouldn't say nobody. I'm sure there are people there. But they did a lot of the announcements online. Much of it is digital. And so we thought we would talk about a bunch of the stuff that happened at CES. So we are foregoing the project this week to just focus on CES and what CES has on offer. One of the trends, as you might expect for this year, is the solution making for coronavirus, for COVID-19, is coming up with answers to questions that maybe no one asked, but maybe in some cases did ask. And one of those that's really getting a lot of attention this year is made by Razer, R-A-Z-E-R. And Razer has a mask called Project Hazel. It's an N95 mask that has an open, a clear front. And so the idea is that you could still communicate with someone who, in other ways would not be able to hear you. But it also has lots of different things. So it's got some LEDs on the inside so that folks could see your mouth even at night if you needed to.
So cool.
And, I guess to add some what's the word I'm looking for? What is that? It's add to your aesthetic was what I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, you get some flair going on there. It's got an airtight seal. The ear loops are adjustable, and you can even adjust airflow. So yeah, I don't know. It charges wirelessly in a case, and it has I think one of the sort of more important things in theory, is the audio processing stuff that it has so that you can actually hear what someone is saying, and it's meant to sound as if they are just communicating with you directly as opposed to talking to you through a mask. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's ever going to become a product that, we'll see a bunch of people wear. It's called Project Hazel for a reason. But
yes,
I've seen a few kind of more high-tech looking masks, and they seem neat, but I don't know if they'll make their way out to people's faces. I'm kind of hoping that the vaccine makes its way out to me before I ever need one of these high-tech masks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's cool looking. Like, I guess if you're going to have a mask, it's a way to do it in style for sure. Got to get that RGB on your face too, I guess.
What is it? If you're going to go to town, you might as well go in a Lincoln.
I think so.
That's the
but
phrase. Yeah. That's just an ad for Lincoln, I guess. But again, it does feel, it's kind of like whenever we first heard about Apple releasing a feature on the Apple Watch that was going to help you make sure that you wash your hands for the proper amount of time. And at the time, everybody was like, wow, they should release that feature early because we really need that right now, not down the line. And then down the line, it was like, wow, we've got a lot more of this to go. So even though it's just now here, we're still, well within the thick of it. I'm hoping that I'm not going to be, I don't even know what the term is, but sort of eating, what is it? Is it eating crow? Eating my foot? I don't remember. But the thing that says that like, wow, he claimed something was going to happen and then it didn't. And so now he's eating his words or whatever. Anyway,
I think it's eating my hat.
Eating my hat. There we go. I don't want to be gnawing on my hat in 6 months through my UV filtered Razer mask. I want to believe that this tech is coming a little late in the game. But that said, I do like the idea that people are going to be more proactive about when they do get sick, even if it's just with something normal. If they have with something typical, that when they are around other people, they choose to wear a mask. So in that case, one of these cool masks would be kind of nice. So the forwarding of mask technology and the forwarding of people being considerate of others in a COVID-free future, I think is one silver lining of this.
Yeah, I agree. This is just the start for us. So I got to get those old school Italian.
Oh God, plague doctor mask.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew exactly what you're going for when you did this. Yes,
with the nose thing. Yeah, for anyone, doctor. I did a long nose motion on the video feed.
All right, let us move on. Tell us about Wired's article that, as you say, it's an incredibly practical guide, and I think it's an important guide so that you can kind of know what's good and what's available.
Yeah, exactly. They're the pieces, 15 best devices that you can actually buy now, because that's one of the things that always happens is it's like, here's all this cool stuff. And you're like, whoa. And then it's like, oh, wait, I'm never going to see that. I can never afford that. So it's got, I'm not going to read off everyone, but some cool ones are like a little phone case that's a wallet thing that also props up your phone for videos. I thought that was cool. The Moft Snap-on phone stand. I guess one is silly is in the similar way that we were talking about before is a mask with Bluetooth on there. So you can make calls into the mask. And then it goes into your ear too. I can't tell if it would be practical. I feel like pulling headphones out of your ears is like a little absurd there. There's a cool Typewise app, which is like a new honeycomb keyboard that you can type in like a weird different. I should have put all these links out of the article, but it's like a different, instead of QWERTY or swipe or anything like that, it's a new way to type. So I'm interested to try that out. There's some more smart water stuff that was something that I saw last year. So products
water
that
bottles.
You can use to track the water usage in your house and any leaks and things like that. What were you going to say?
No, I was clarifying, like water bottles, right?
No, this is
Smart
also a
water
water
bottles.
sensor for like under your laundry machine and things like that.
Oh, gotcha.
Then I totally am eyeing. There's a new like Cube camera from Panasonic that is like the same brand that I have, but it's specifically built to be a live stream camera type situation, and you just mount a lens on front, and then it's not like you're gonna hold it really. It's this little square. So I love those cameras.
If I remember correctly, it's the only one of its type, as in at that inexpensive price that that Netflix says you can make movies for Netflix with. So Netflix has a list of cameras that it says, hey, it's cool, it's fine, you can use these whenever you make Netflix films, but most of them are very expensive. And this one, which is $2,000, is the only one at that price that Amazon gives I keep saying Amazon, that Netflix gives the go ahead with. So kind of cool that you could get
this one has
that
even
level
an
of
Ethernet
quality.
port in it, which is cool. So you can it's like
stream directly from it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few. I think there's one or two from Panasonic now that work for Netflix shows, which is I've always loved that because I have the similar type of range, and it is just cool to aspirationally be able to go up through the same line all the way and then make a Netflix show. So shortcuts on Netflix coming soon now.
It's
and then one thing that I thought was cool is this is a little odd, but it's you can like take it's a service where you can take pictures of your body and then they'll track moles over time and anything like that. And so it's kind of a health type. I don't know if it's a startup particularly, but just interesting tech. Like there's always CES is always the place where like maybe they didn't like think too much about the privacy side. I mean, the companies like that always do, but you see such a breadth of new tech that sometimes it is a little bit like, I mean, I guess Amazon wants you to do something similar with your outfits and stuff like that. So at least when it has real health benefits and it's only like $25 a year or something like that, it could actually help you track of that over time. So
as long as the privacy protections are in place, then I think that works.
Yeah, but definitely check out the rest of the Wired article in the show notes if you want to actually buy some CES stuff.
Yes. Now let's go the opposite way. Maybe stuff that you can't buy, but stuff that was very interesting and was announced at CES. Some inventions that were announced at CES.
I think it's definitely seemed like it was going to be pretty obvious that this had happened this year, but the type of like disinfecting robots to go around and clean different spaces are definitely on display this year. LG has one that I guess it's not necessarily for consumer type things, but there's also like air safety, air quality things were emphasized this year. Then you start to get into like cooking robots and things like that, which are, I don't know.
Robo
I'm trying to remember the one that was in San Francisco. There was a whole food kitchen.
We talked about it on the show before.
Yeah, I think it's.
I don't remember what it's called, but I do remember talking about it.
Yeah, but there's definitely, I mean, a balcony beekeeping box if you want to do that. That's like pretty solid actually. Down further in the piece, if you wanted to, that's one of the more interesting things I've seen. So I like this. I love these kinds of articles just because I think I had to spend like 3 hours walking around the floors on CES just to see all the random stuff because a lot of things aren't, I'm going to say like worth the headlines kind of, but they're still somewhat interesting to see. So I'm glad to have, if this is from like the Smithsonian mag. I didn't even know the thing, but.
Oh my God, I want this. It's called the Lasso Home Recycling Machine. So this device, because this is I love this. Smithsonian Magazine notes in here, now that China is no longer accepting the world's recycling. Yes, let us start there. I did an interview a while back on Triangulation, which was a show on the Twit Network. And I spoke to, and I can't think of her name at this moment, but she wrote a book about waste and about the world's waste. And in the book, she talks about how China used to accept the world's recycling and would process it and do all that stuff. And cardboard was a big one that China took and recycled. But China kind of got sick of not only doing that, but also kind of basically there we go. Kate O'Neill, and the book is called Waste. And from a global perspective, what does it look like to be the world's trash, the garbage bin? You know what I mean? And that was something that they truly felt. It's like everybody's sending their trash to us. We don't like it, and we're not going to do it anymore. So when that happened, a lot of countries didn't have the processes in place to properly break down and recycle goods. And so they've had to try to do that and do better about that. But in the meantime, companies like Amazon, and especially right now in this pandemic, who are sending out cardboard boxes everywhere, you start to get all these cardboard boxes. And even if you put this is the bad thing, even if you put them in the recycling bin, you don't necessarily know that product is going to end up being recycled. And that, and I'm speaking specifically of paper products, cardboard and paper products, because in some cases, and in more cases than you might imagine, those end up at facilities where they can't do paper and cardboard recycling processes. And so they end up in a landfill, or they end up being thrown away in some other way, and they don't actually get recycled. So firstly, you should definitely research your recycling service or where you take your stuff to be recycled, and make sure that it is properly being disposed of or recycled in the way that you had imagined it would be. Because just putting it in the blue bin and sending it out and hoping that it will, it's not necessarily ending up where you want it to. So with that explanation out of the way, we could talk about this new product called Lasso, which is a home recycling machine. It says it's about the size of a washing machine. The Lasso steam cleans, it sorts, and it grinds up your glass, your plastic, and your metal recycling. When it fills up, anywhere from 3 to 8 times a year, it messages you to schedule a pickup. Lasso will then take your recycling to a facility to ensure it's recycled, and you get to track it the whole way.
Nice.
What? I want this so much.
That is cool. Especially just like knowing that it's actually going to be recycled. It does seem like the big part. And just having like a little thing. And I mean, they're trying to make it look fancy, which is, it's got like a bright yellow color, or I mean, probably most likely people will get the whites one and stuff like that. But
yeah, there's white.
For some reason, I immediately thought of, I watched like the Netflix series, The Home Edit, where they just went through like famous people's houses and then regular people's houses and like helped them clean it. And I was like, I could totally see a bunch of celebrities having these. I'm pretty sure I did notice on the website it's like reserve now, due today, $0, and then doesn't tell you the price. So
yeah,
it might be one of those
that's unfortunate.
CES type things. But
I want to know how much it's going to end up being. So I am going to sign up for this.
1,000 at least.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it'll be at least as much as an appliance costs, but probably more. So I'm going to sign up for this. Just so, do I have to put in my address? Let's see if it makes me.
When it's going to show up at your house, and there's going to be I guess they don't take
a bill on it.
So. But they take your address, which is like, I was like, that's a little much for me.
Yeah, exactly. But I can use Twit's address, and then I don't have to worry about it. Let's see. Sorry, now I'm doing this because I just want to see what it ends up saying, and it does not tell what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, even after you create a login. Fall of 2022.
Perfect.
Yeah, 2022. Welcome to the recycling revolution. All right, I think that's super cool. Also, the balcony beekeeping box is super cool. I've always wanted to be an apurist, and at some point will be an apurist. But I think that being able to have your own little beekeeper system is pretty neat. But if I have to buy like bee pods or something, like that ice cream machine, that's annoying. Let's move on. A roundup of the must-see gadgets from CES 2021. This is from Interesting Engineering, and it is kind of about some of the stranger products that are being announced at CES.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the ones that does stand out that I saw a lot of YouTubers interested in is the rolling phone. So LG has a phone that you can... Oh, gosh, sorry. I started the video. That you can... It's like a sneak peek type of thing. So we'll actually see if they'll be able to develop something that is more interesting. And this is one of those that also it's like, I'm assuming they would have it on stage and you can't touch it or see anything that it does, but it's kind of in the folding phone market. So that's pretty interesting. I saw last year too, this similar type of thing is gaming tables. So I could see this being more relevant now that people are stuck at home kind of thing. I mean, assuming you're the person that you live with also wants to play. But kind of out there too. I don't know if I'd actually want to buy one of them. There's health tech that you can for women, which is good for tracking fertility type things, which is always super important. And you always see a lot of that at CES, which is good because that kind of stuff can really make a difference in people's lives. I think some of the stuff, it's not even worth mentioning, but if you want to check it out, there is some funny things. Like one that I do like is phone mount for a little gaming controller so that you can play on your phone and things like that. So I've been actually doing that. I have the Backbone. I think I talked about that on this show. Similar type of product there. I do like the large TVs though that look like art. That kind of thing is always amazing. LG's got a very large OLED G1 down at number 13 in the story. So TVs are always a major trend.
Oh, you're gonna scroll right past my choice.
What was yours?
No, that's cool. That television is. I do think those are cool, but they're always so expensive. Mine is the one right before that, which is the MyQ Pet Portal. So it's made by the same company that makes the smart door opener that I've talked about before, Chamberlain and LiftMaster, which are owned by the same company. And so they have created an automatic door for your pet. So wow, it is $2,999. But it is, it's a way to, again, let your pet in and out of the house on its own. But if you've ever seen any film that has burglars in it, then you'll know that they love to choose the pet that they love to find the dogs that have those little things on their collars and use those to get into the house. Also, my dogs don't really have any interest in.
They're going for the homeowner angle there with $3,000 door, but that is cool.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, I like the idea. I think this is the kind of thing that they come out with, and then 2 years from now, there's one that's a third the price or something like that. Classic CES move.
This next one it's from the Wall Street Journal, and it's kind of focusing on a trend in adding smarts without looking smarts. So this is smart tech, meaning, it's some sort of connection, wireless connection or communication, but it doesn't stand out. It doesn't have a bunch of antenna and strange, flashing lights and things like that. It builds in smart tech without looking ridiculous. And I think this is, certainly an interesting thing to look at. The example that they have at the top is the level touch lock. Let me see what Kevin's got there. What is that? The
desk Qi charger that goes through the desk itself.
What is that called? What's the brand there?
The Q Labs UTS-1. So they need some marketing work there. But it's a these are I saw a YouTube article last year, or a YouTube article video where somebody drilled out like a hole in the bottom of their desk and put a Qi charger up in it so that it was closer. And so this says that it can go like over an inch thick, which is, I think the question for me is this good for your phone and things like that? Like, I do know that Qi charging is worse for your battery because it is kind of spreading out the heat as well. But I like the idea. I think that's a major thing with Qi chargers is they even are all laying around. To me, they look exactly like cup holders or
this is a no damage version.
Yeah.
Okay, what? Okay, no power tools, no drills, no professional labor needed. Using just the screws or double. Well, okay, that is damage, but or double-sided tape where there's not damage. Sleek, invisible wireless charging station in your home in minutes. So, how does this work? QLab's patented IPC, Intelligent Power Communication Technology, is what makes the UTS-1 the world's most reliable and safest long-distance Qi wireless charger for both your furniture and your phone. The technology allows for constant two-way communication of vital charging commands between your phone and charger, and is the first of its kind that ensures long-distance Qi wireless charging is as safe and reliable for your phone battery health as traditional wireless charging pads. So somehow it and this is the other thing, is that the normal wireless charging pads, they just send signal or they send power out, but it doesn't have the ability for the phone to say, hey, I'm overheating. And so this one does hear that and understand that, and in which case it can go, oh, you're getting too hot. I need to not do this. So it says it allows the charger to communicate with the phone's firmware so that you get fast charge, but it ensures efficient battery charging with less heat generated.
Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting. I might have to get one of these just to see.
I think my biggest thing, because it basically is like a little, not like power bank, but it's a little machine on the underside of your desk. And so I'm very curious if it makes noise, because
you and your noises.
Exactly.
You hear them.
If this was just a little puck, it'd be great. But if it is sitting there like whirring in order to run or something like that, that's like an immediate deal breaker for me. So
Kevin, can you go back to that article and scroll through, see if there's anything else of interest? I can't see the whole thing, so I didn't know.
Oh
yes, the Moen.
Apple News.
Lots of different smart faucets that you basically can tap, or you can talk to your device and say, hey, dear friend, I want 1 cup of water, and it will turn on the faucet for you and do that.
I think that's a perfect example of, I mean, maybe even like a year ago when we started the show, or like probably further than that, this is the kind of thing that I probably would have like made fun of a little bit. But now after like a year at home, I'm like, yeah, I totally use that. Just like give me 2.5 cups of water right away. And so I can just cook a little bit easier. I can see these things being more relevant. Less so is the smart hot tub that you can get, I swear.
What makes it smart?
Commands. It's here, wait. Oh, how much is it? Yeah, $16,000.
Oh, it's voice activated. So
maybe we can get that to review.
Okay. I don't need a voice. I can just flip a switch that turns the.
How many times have you been in your personal hot tub in your own house in the, I don't know where you'd keep this, and you're like, oh, I have to get up and go over and turn it on. Plus, I mean, this does produce its own fog, so like it's kind of a twofer there. It's got
I didn't realize it had
oil,
the fog setting. Okay, see, it has the fog setting. Now I understand. That's worth at least 10 of the $16,000.
I'm gonna have to budget for this.
Yeah, let me add that to the list of things I definitely need. No, that's wild.
My family's dying. I bought a $16,000 smart hot tub.
Shame on you. And your hot tub with fog, with smog.
Not even a time machine.
What was that? But let's see. What else Is there anything else in that article? No, the toilet was the last thing, but we've seen smart toilets before. The Innate toilet similarly provides touchless functionality by way of a proximity sensor that automatically opens the lid as you approach and auto flushes when you walk away. Critically, the toilet self-closes when you're done. You don't need to press a button to lift the seat. To do so, you press a button on the toilet's remote, which also includes bidet cleansing and heated seat options.
Also pretty solid.
Okay, yeah, I would be down for a heated toilet seat. I want that more than I want fog.
I feel like that's a perfect example of one that has graduated out of an in-flight magazine into an actual consumer technology product.
Absolutely.
That's so perfect. I just realized how much CES is like one step beyond in-flight magazine stuff.
Oh, that is a good comparison. Yeah. I like that.
Speaking of stuff that's like that, I guess the last one that I want to talk about that's just like wide angle CES stuff is the graphics in the car screens. So in a Cadillac, you can get a whole 33-inch dashboard thing going on. Panasonic
more distractions.
Kind of, projection view. You can get like a heads-up display now and things like that. So this is definitely... I was curious what car companies would do to kick it to another level, and now I'm thinking about it, they're probably competing with Tesla here, but especially even like Tesla's games in the car and things like that. So it's pretty interesting. I feel like it is... I do want to see smart car tech in the future make it a better experience beyond just plugging in your phone kind of thing, because even though CarPlay stuff is great, it's still like we have it now. I don't know, like CES is about innovation and the next thing that we want to do. And so this kind of makes sense.
I just wish they'd take all of the energy that they're putting towards more distracting in-car technology toward self-driving cars, and then you can slap as many screens and all that stuff as you want to in there, because the person can focus on the screens instead of focusing on the driving. But this stuff scares me when you're adding more. And I understand that it's, there are lots of safety measures in place, but to go from a simple knob that I can, without looking at it, I can turn the knob on my 2004 Dodge Stratus and know that to the left is cold and to the right is hot, and to the left is 1 and to the right is 4, and to the left is defrost and to the full right is vent, and I don't need to look at them ever. But all these in-screen monitors and touch controls and one dial to rule them all situations, you've got to focus more of your attention on those things. And that's dangerous. And that's what I don't like about all of this technological additions to the car.
All this hoo-ha.
All this hoo-ha.
Matt's up here. It's like... You sound a little... It's like, just go to the thermostat and turn on the lights yourself. Like...
Okay, that's not the same thing.
Bit. I agree. I think
the same thing.
I think the problem is just like self-driving stuff isn't. I don't know. Like that sounds like the thing where we should have smart assistants and AI to help us out. That's like, yeah, but also we're not anywhere closer to that because of just the realistic problems with the technology, I think. So that's like a different realm, I guess, is the smart driving stuff. I do agree that the distraction stuff can be important to focus on. And some of this is concept level, so they're probably going to make it more practical or things like that. But there's still room to innovate in these spaces, I'd say, like the consumer experience. And even, I don't know, I mean, what a car means to people has changed this year and will change in the future. To me, anytime I go out in my car now, it is kind of like a safe space that I know nothing. It's like you close the doors and you don't have to wear your mask or something like that. So having kind of that, maybe not while you're driving, but even just in the car experience in between driving and things like that might be more relevant. So I don't know. It's kind of a space to play around. And they do need to think about the distraction part. I think that's why they're doing AR things that are on the field of view so that you're not looking away also. So sorry for calling you an old man.
It's fine. I feel it sometimes. Let's take a quick break so I can tell you folks about IT Pro TV, who are bringing you this episode of Smart Tech Today. Listen, it is a new year, and that means it's full of amazing opportunities. Get excited, get happy, and get trained up. IT Pro TV is one of these new experiences. IT Pro TV has exactly what you need to get started on the right foot in IT education. You can get professional and, not to mention, entertaining IT training from the comfort and safety of your own home. January, the month we are currently in, is Getting Started in IT month at IT Pro TV. It's a great time to start a new career in the IT industry, which, as you might imagine, continues to grow even during COVID-19. And this month, you can catch two webinars for budding IT pros, a free training weekend with 5 courses available at no charge, plus tons of videos on the YouTube channel about starting a new career. With plans for business that your IT team will actually use, or a personal plan that will help you accelerate your IT career, IT Pro TV is your one-stop shop. You can get training in Microsoft and Cisco and Apple and Linux and more, and you'll be able to earn IT certifications while improving your IT skills. IT Pro TV has over 5,800 hours of IT training and are also the only official video training partner for CompTIA. If you're worried about staying on track, well, don't worry at all. You can get one of IT Pro TV's learning coaches along with all of its wonderful job resources to help guide you on your career path. For more insight about IT, you can also check out the IT Pro TV podcast called Tech NATO with Don Pizzette, featuring industry guests and IT news recaps for a deeper dive. Now you can look forward to a successful new year where you can get a new career in IT with the best IT education around. All you have to do, and this is so easy, I love it, you go to itpro.tv/smart. That's right, we've got that one. And use the code SMART30 to receive 30% off all consumer subscriptions. That's itpro.tv/smart and use code SMART30 for an additional 30% off for the lifetime of your active subscription. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. Our thanks to IT Pro TV for sponsoring this week's episode of Smart Tech Today. Thank you, IT Pro TV. All right, let's talk about some of the things that have to do with Apple at CES. First off is a report out of Mac Rumors that has some of the best Apple-related accessories at CES, and the first one is one that has my eye for sure. There have been a few companies that have created CarPlay receivers for single DIN cars like mine. Most of the CarPlay receivers are double DIN, meaning it's kind of hard to explain, but for anybody who doesn't know, there's like a space in your vehicle console, and many modern vehicles, they are 2 spaces. And so each of the individual spaces is DIN. And so double DIN means like 2 of them stacked on top. Most of the cars of today have double DIN spaces in their consoles. Mine's ages old, so it's got a single DIN. And the companies that have single DIN offerings right now are a little bit more obscure than Pioneer. But Pioneer has come out with a Pioneer CarPlay receiver that is single DIN, but on top of that, it supports wireless CarPlay. So super exciting. It's probably going to be very expensive. So I probably won't get it because I would probably get a newer car before I ever would install this in the car that I have. But I still think this is very cool. And for people who do want to install a CarPlay receiver in their single DIN vehicles, this is going to be an option. But especially with that wireless CarPlay functionality, I think is very nice. So excited about this. There aren't any prices yet. Pioneer is not planning on launching it until this summer. And at that point, will give us a price, but probably in the $2K range, because that's usually what these things cost. It's highway robbery.
It's got an HDMI video input for rear seat entertainment. That's awesome, too. That is good to see, though. Just
more distractions.
I mean, back seat, so you're not driving while you're watching it, at least. But
listen here.
Yeah.
If you're looking at your in-car dash receiver while you're supposed to be driving, well, you're in trouble.
Drive a buggy uphill both ways.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Tell me about this monitor that I'm going to have to buy.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, because the pricing also isn't available. But LG has their first OLED monitor, so it's 31.5 inches and is specifically designed to also work with Apple's Macs, because that's a big thing. Is a lot of stuff is not designed for the kind of pixel density and things like that Mac users are used to. So these can kind of fit into that. And then they've also got a 39.7 inch 5K 2K ultra wide monitor too. So all not really priced out yet, but I think people have been wanting to see advances in the monitor realm that don't cost $5,000 like Apple's. Who knows where in between $0 and $5,000 these will land, but it's still good to see that kind of innovation, and especially from, I mean, LG hasn't had the best record with ultrafines. They did have some problems, but it's still a well-known brand and things like that. So this kind of stuff is good. There's a couple other, I mean, I guess also Dell has another ultra-wide monitor that's it's $2,000. So it's probably going to be in that kind of realm for LG's sort of thing. But otherwise, there's Sateki, as we discussed last time.
It's Satachi. I've
got
heard from the company.
charger.
It's Satachi.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Multi-device chargers, which I'm feeling more and more like I want to get one of these, where you have like 4 spaces on one thing and you can just set it all up, because I do use phone and iPad and AirPods and things like that. So just having one outlet to plug that all in would be nice. And then one I'm super interested in, the Kensington Studio dock for iPad Pro. So it's kind of,
tell me about this one.
It's like a charging setup and an iPad mount situation. So it kind of looks like a monitor stand for your iPad that is a Qi charger as well, and has got the ports and the SD card thing. So it's kind of, the reason I'm interested is just because otherwise I have like 4 products sitting around all attached to the iPad and dongles hanging off and things like that. And it kind of does look silly. So if you're in an iPad setup, this actually looks pretty solid. I think also, though, these do tend to be like large, chunky pieces of aluminum and end up costing a pretty penny. So it's always like right on the realm of like, this could be worth it, but it's $260 or something. So like maybe not so much. But I think innovation in the iPad accessory space is important, because this is specifically what an iPad is best at, is turning into a display. I mean, it is a display, but then putting it up, using it with the external stuff works pretty well too. So it's pretty interesting.
So with this dock, I've dropped another link into the Google Sheet, Kevin. This dock, it's a magnetic dock for the iPad. And it has what they call Apple ecosystem charging. So you can charge AirPods, you can charge your Apple Watch. It comes with a spot to charge it like directly on the side of the iPad. But I think it is the fact that there's all these ports on the back, because I think this thing is ugly. I'm going to just put that out there. I think this thing is kind of hideous, to be honest. But it's got USB ports. It's got Ethernet. It's got HDMI. I mean, this is a pretty neat device that truly becomes a dock, for your monitor, or for your I might as well call it a monitor, for your iPad, as opposed to what I thought it was originally, which was just a stand. So yeah, this docking station can essentially create a desktop computing experience for you, where your iPad is your computer and you've got a monitor connected to it that serves as like the secondary machine. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, definitely. Something I've been experimenting with more is the sidecar benefit of the iPad, because I've got mine up on a little stand next to it. And so, I mean, it's got like, you can charge the watch near there too and stuff like that. So it's pretty, I don't know. It's always interesting because they're trying to like solve for people like me, but even then, at a certain point, I like the flexibility of the iPad. So I mean, it's still pretty good though. Like, I don't. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing. It's kind of like the super expensive Apple stand that's like $1,000. It looks similar to that, but then it's like inside has got all these ports and stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty clean setup. I don't know. At least you can give it that, and it rotates and stuff like that. So I can see it being
because it uses magnets, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah,
just like
the already has those magnets built in. Yeah, it's I agree though. It's like a big L that you sit on your desk that then you can throw the iPad onto. So it's kind of odd, but I think I'm glad to see that this kind of thing is possible, because you do start to get in, like an iPad means you get into accessory world because it's got that one port. And so for a solid desk setup space with this, I could see it being handy. I'd have to try it, honestly. Like, I think this is the kind of thing that I would want to review, because I wouldn't want to just tell somebody to go spend $300 if it didn't end up being worth it.
Exactly. What else? Anything else from for Apple?
Yeah. I mean, there's some music stuff like AirPlay soundbar from JBL, and then Belkin's got their own AirPods type thing, which is like, I think I even didn't fully register that it was Belkin and not, for some reason I thought Bose. And so that's kind of like odd. They're known for more cheaper accessories, but I guess one of the big things that I saw at CES last year was tons and tons of really cheap AirPods knockoffs. And I even recently heard somebody who like joined a chat room with really bad AirPods, and it was just like, or like AirPods knockoffs. And he said that he's like, oh, sorry, my mic was just total trash because I use those. So Belkin being like right above that, I think is probably good. But then there's also a series of MagSafe chargers. So a lot of these were teased when the iPhone came out, where the phone with the magnet on the back can sit up on a little stand and things like that. So Belkin's got a 2-in-1 for your phone being on a little mount with AirPods underneath. This is like, it's like a little dock for your phone too, in a similar way.
Yeah, so that's the second one they've come out with, because they have the Belkin Boost Charge Pro 3-in-1 wireless. It's such a long name, but basically it's, instead of just being one bar that goes up and holds the iPhone and then the spot below for your AirPods, it's a T-bar. And so it has a spot for your iPhone, a spot for your Apple Watch, and then the base charges the AirPods. So at some point, because it's a little pricey, it's $140, which is not within Mikah's realm of, oh, I'll just pick that up. That's into the realm of I need to think about that and budget it out. So at some point, I plan on getting one of those, because I think it's the cleanest solution that I've seen. Even cleaner for me than the Saatchi 3-in-1 stand that I have on my bedside table, because of the MagSafe functionality. So it, it's fastens on there, and then the fact that the phone kind of sits up off of the table that's I don't know. There's something about it that's just really nice. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Are you saying you'd get the 3-in-1 or the 2-in-1?
I would get the 3-in-1 because I do charge all three of those devices at night. I use my AirPods Pro in bed to listen to audiobooks. I fall asleep to audiobooks, and I have the case laying on the charger. I have my Apple Watch laying on the charger overnight, and I have my phone laying on the charger overnight. So this would be an even better solution for me because of the fact that I know when everything is perfectly placed as it needs to be. And like I said, it would take up less space for me because of the device's float.
It uses like the vertical space there to spread it out wider or further than it would be if it was on the desk itself. I feel like I would get the one without the watch charger because I've got it's shaped like a Mac, and then you put your watch in it sideways, and then it does the nightstand mode thing. So I kind of like that, and I don't really need to charge my watch ever other than that. So the integrated, right now I am constantly swapping my AirPods and my phone at the end of the day because I use it so much that they're like both dying or something like that. And I like that it's up in the air and you can use it for like FaceTime calls too. That's pretty cool in either direction too, because it's just the magnet. So MagSafe is actually pretty solid.
I agree. Let's see. Oh, Sony. We were just talking about Sony kind of joining the groups of devices that have functionality for AirPlay, AirPlay 2 and HomeKit. And Sony has some new televisions out that have HomeKit and AirPlay 2 support on them.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I was clicked on the wrong article for a second. I think one of the things that I've seen the most, there are a lot of 4K TVs in here, but I saw a couple other brands. I think a big trend this year is 8K TVs. And it's pretty funny because I think somebody saw it. They were like, it's going to be 8K whether you like it or not. It'll like upscale a lot of content and things like that. And I feel like most people are still barely getting their 4K TVs and things like that. Or if you're like me, you bought one not realizing what HDR spec it had and things like that. So that's probably going to be more of a quality improvement than going up to 8K, especially since most stuff I don't even know what you can watch there. But the expansion of the HomeKit support and AirPlay 2 I think it's a lot more common now than it used to be. And so I think that's one of the major trends is just going into the future. You actually do have those options with most TVs that you find.
Yeah. Anker, a well-known company in the charging space, has announced some new accessories at CES 2021, including some new cords for devices, but also its magnetic series, which, as you might imagine, is MagSafe type technology. So what is some of it that stood out for you?
I think this is sort of at least with the magnetic series, it seemed pretty straightforward of Anker getting their hand into this market with the cases and then little stands that you can check out. I think I'm interested in USB-C cables. I'm not sure. I guess these ones are to lightning cables, but they've got ones down at the bottom that are made with silica gel material and very colorful and things like that. So I feel like the personalization aspect of some of these lightning connectors is getting more interesting. I think I saw one on TikTok that was fully lit up as you were charging it and things like that. Not from Anker or anything like that. But I think this is just I think that's always what's odd about CES is there's not a whole lot to say when they keep coming out with new products, accessories and things like that. But a lot of it's becoming more affordable while still being powerful and not. I do think last year there was a lot of chargers that did the buzzing thing and like they're just figuring out how to make it into those smaller sizes with this more powerful features. So now that they've had another year here and MagSafe adds another layer on top, it's pretty innovative stuff. Like I do like, I can't comprehend how comfortable I would be with a magnetic power bank for my phone. Like you holding your phone onto a little brick thing and then kind of throwing it somewhere in your bag seems like it would just get disconnected. So I feel like that's going to be an interesting thing to check out. But a lot of this stuff is coming out later this month or throughout the next couple of months. So we'll probably be talking about these more as they get released.
Yeah. Anker does a good job every time and does it at a price that falls well within the range that one would expect. And I like that they can do that. This was something that we talked about this morning on Tech News Weekly. Folks are coming out with touchless doorbells. And the idea here is that, touching a doorbell is dirty and gross. And so let's find a way to let people ring the doorbell without ever touching it. And so you just stand in front of the doorbell and in the right spot on a mat or whatever. And when you do it long enough, then it rings the doorbell. As you point out, can't this just be a feature that's updated? You update the firmware of devices you already have and do that with them? I would think so, right?
That was the headline. Did I copy a different one?
I guess that is part of it. Yeah, sorry. That is part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, but the other angle of this is that the wired video doorbell also is getting HomeKit support, but it's not quite HomeKit secure video support. So you'll be able to check the video feed through HomeKit and things like that, but they're not doing the secure updated video through iCloud and things like that. So just worth knowing because they didn't exactly announce it. So that's courtesy of 9to5Mac. And then what was this Netflix thing?
Because yeah. So I just wanted to note for folks who, we've talked about hearables as, these smart devices that we put in our ears, and AirPods Pro and AirPods Max support something called spatial audio, which there's kind of two different types of spatial audio. Renee Ritchie touched on this on MacBreak Weekly recently, because there's the spatial audio that many of us are familiar with at this point who have some sort of AirPods device, where if I put something on my iPad, so my hand, and for folks who are listening, I'll try to spell it out here in audio as well, but pretend my hand is my iPad. I'm holding my hand in front of my face, and I put Thor on it, Thor Ragnarok on it, and I'm wearing my AirPods Pro and I have spatial audio turned on. When I watch it with the iPad directly in front of me, the sound is normal. AirPods are playing Thor Ragnarok. But if I take the iPad Pro and I move it to the right, and so it's over to the right side of me, the AirPods Pro will change the audio such that it sounds like the audio is coming from the iPad to the right of me. And if I take the iPad and I move it to my left, then it will make the audio sound like it's coming more from the left side of me. If I keep the iPad where it is and instead I move my head, I look to my left at my dog doing something funny, the audio will change such that it sounds like the sound is still coming directly from the iPad, which is in front of me, but it will make sure that it sounds like that in my ears as opposed to playing exactly through both left and right side. But that's the start of spatial audio. The second bit of spatial audio is the ability to it's kind of like Dolby Atmos, which gives you this whole sort of surround sound system that is generated using the AirPods. And so spatial audio is not just keeping the iPad sound where it is also a surround sound system type thing. And Netflix is testing that. So right now, there are only certain shows, like Apple TV shows. So if you get a show, if you watch a show from Apple TV Plus, for example, or you download a movie through the TV app, which is technically from the iTunes store, if they have the right stuff, if they have the right encodings built in, then you can use the spatial audio. But watching stuff on Netflix, watching stuff on Hulu, does not support spatial audio. Netflix is testing
Hulu does
that.
actually.
So
I already have it.
Hulu does?
And Disney Plus. Yeah. Oh, it's great.
I didn't know.
I mean,
Hulu
not for not for everything. It is based on the movie too, which is probably only 4K type movies that have been mastered in the last few years or re-released with that kind of mastering. I agree. I think the whole part about like turning your head and stuff like that is like, I don't care really. Like that's good but only it's necessary because of the way that people use their devices. I think it has just confused. I mentioned this before, but it confused me the most because it wasn't actually working on mine, and I had mono audio set up. So I was like, "What the heck?" But once I actually got it, it really just is surround sound for wireless speakers, and it works because it detects the location of the device. So then it can see it. That's like the front channel, and then it can do left and right, and back left and back right, and things like that. So while you're wearing something like AirPods Max, some like any sort of jet plane flying overhead kind of like example, that's always a good example. It'll actually sound like it's flying around you, like a movie theater experience. So I think this is really the key thing for me with AirPods Max and iPad specifically was it's a mobile movie theater experience. It's like the best way. It's the best personal entertainment experience, I think, because if you're sitting there, even the iPad screen looks better than any other screen that I own. So I was like, this is amazing. I think what's interesting is that it doesn't work on Apple TV. And I can't tell if that's the lack of a gyroscope that the iPad does have that could potentially be coming in the next Apple TV kind of. It's been a while since they've had one. So I could see Netflix not releasing this until it works on all those devices because Netflix big thing is the same experience everywhere. And also it's down at the bottom there noting this is probably going to be in the premium subscription thing. So if you're paying for it and not getting it, that sounds like something that Netflix would rather withhold instead of give you something and then make it a bad experience. So I think I want to see this come because I would say it's something that if one were to perhaps not want to get movies through the iTunes store, those parts of the experience are going to be missing in the future and the higher quality stuff. So these are kind of things that certain like pirate type websites might not allow users to enjoy. And so it's an interesting kind of product strategy for both movies and the streaming services that you kind of have to get it through this for it to be this kind of quality. I want to see it more though. Like I specifically did buy a movie because I wanted to watch it with the spatial audio 1917. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm pretty excited because that's it's like a war movie with a guy running through everything. So I feel like I'm just going to be like, like freaking out the entire time. I'll have to try it.
Yeah, up next, we've got more CES news. So let us talk about that shortly. This is really exciting to me. The first piece that I saw from Philips Hue is a battery-powered wall switch module. You install this behind your light switches, and it makes it so that even if the power goes out, it makes sure that you can still control your lights, that you can still kind of communicate with your lights. So the idea here is that, not when the power goes out, whenever you turn off the switch on the actual panel, that you can still communicate with the lights. Because as it stands, if you have normal average light switches in your house and you put Philips Hue bulbs into the overhead lights, for example, when I turn the switch off on the wall, it's going to remove power from the light switch, from the actual Philips Hue bulb that's in the light switch, in the outlet rather. And one way to fix that, and one way that I've always done to fix that, is by using in-wall switches. But Philips came up with this other way to make this happen, which is that on the outside, and again, this goes back to that trend that they were talking about in the Wall Street Journal, it looks like it's a normal device. It looks like it's an average light switch, and it operates like an average light switch, where flipping the switch on the wall off turns the light off at the source, and flipping the switch on the wall on turns the light on at the source. But power is not removed from the bulb itself, meaning that it can still be powered on and can communicate with the Hue bridge so that you can use an app to control the light as well.
I feel like that makes so much sense, especially, I mean, I guess I don't, does it basically mean that you can just like use the switch normally and use the Hue stuff? And
correct.
Yeah, so it's like pressing it off also turns off the lights. But then it can just be turned back on. I guess, are you going to just hit app on then and it's already on and you just have to like hit it? I'm just trying to imagine the logistics of it. But it makes sense. It's definitely a problem that needs to be solved. We basically just trained ourselves not to use the lights anymore. But now it's very annoying when you want the lights to turn on right away. And it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Exactly.
Go into the Home app and check your settings. And every time it says it. And I'm like, oh my God, please shut up. Like, so that is a nice solution there. And I don't
that's why I just like in-wall switches.
How you get this into the wall, but I guess that's just in an installation type setup for like new homes. Perhaps? You take the so essentially it almost acts like it's a one gang for a three gang, or for it's one interface of like a three-way switch almost. And so you would take off the wall plate and you would run wires into this module that then run into the switch. And so the switch is not actually turning on and off the power. It's just communicating with the module. And the module has the logic in it that goes, oh, they flipped the switch down, so I'm going to turn off the light. But I'm going to do that by sending a command to the Hue bridge that then turns off the light. So it's very smart and does all the work for you and lets the stupid humans be stupid. It looks like they've also got outdoor lights coming in March, which is nice. So lighting up exterior walls with fancy lighting, and then a cheaper dimmer switch also, which is nice. So I guess you can do scenes and lighting conditions based on time of day. So $25, those are always the dimmer switch things. If you don't install it in the wall with that other thing, it's just a way I just have them like next to the actual switch, and then you just learn to use that too. That I really like in the kitchen and bathroom, because I don't want to use a smart assistant in the bathroom, and in the kitchen, I just walk in and turn it on right away. I don't want to ask for it either. So for some reason, those are the only ones we need. And otherwise, we've almost never actually had the problem of needing to flip the switches over and over again or something like that.
What has TP-Link announced at CES?
They have gone into the doorbell market and even more Casa products here, which is like their specific name of the brand. So smart doorbell, outdoor camera, pan and tilt camera, dimmer switch, light switch, and outdoor plug. So this is just TP-Link expanding their consumer brand in there and making it a little bit more friendly, which is always good. It seems like more and more brands are starting out with one product and then turning into the entire line, because people seem to need to trust just the one brand and don't want a mishmash of devices. So we're seeing more of these, and because they're just a little bit cheaper, it's not like a $700 setup or something. I mean, I guess I didn't actually do the math on all these, but they haven't shared all of the prices, so that's part of it. But it's still good to, you do just want to put your smart home security generally in just a few brands, as long as you can trust them, because otherwise it can just kind of become a mess when you have to restart everything or something like that. But yeah, pretty straightforward, more CES smart home stuff. Got another article here. We can get to the Google Guest Mode one in a second, but CNET has a list of every single smart home security camera announced at CES. So GE's Sync one that we mentioned yesterday with the weird name, Conca. Like brands that I've never even really heard of. Things like, excuse me? Samsung's got a artificial intelligence robot that uses LiDAR to scan and vacuum your home. It's like it looks like a little robot too, which is kind of cool. I like that. At least if you're going to make it like that, might as well lean into the Wall-E aesthetic.
Right.
It's literally got like tread style thing that looks like R2-D2, that JetBot 90.
Hello, I am JetBot 90. I will clean your house.
Ooh, it's creepy. In the linked article on CNET, they have if you do a nighttime camera, you can see it scanning your house as it goes through and vacuums.
Okay, so. Yeah, I don't think I like that.
I mean, hey, it's better than... Didn't Roomba just scan everybody's home for years and then was like, by the way, we're doing this? And it was like, great. We didn't know about that. We love that. They had like maps of your house. It's like that was pretty far. And then just in more smart home stuff, Lutron's got their outdoor smart plug. We've mentioned VocoLink too. They have previously we were talking about a oil diffuser type thing, but they've got a cool mist humidifier with HomeKit now in the US, which is nice. And then Google's got a guest mode for your Nest Hub type of situation. So that's pretty nice. If people come in, they can't access all of your smart home stuff. And I mean, it does do the voice recognition and things like that, but still, it's kind of a lockdown mode that can show people simpler stuff and some basic lights, but you don't have to just like unplug your smart display if somebody's staying at your house. Or maybe this is probably for Airbnb type people as well. So yeah, some pretty nice CES stuff coming through this year, and then just basic more HomeKit and outdoor plug stuff to get through, fill out for the beginning of 2021. Should we do the Samsung?
Yes, let us do the Samsung, because I know we're getting a little long in the tooth now.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I was kind of rushing through those last ones.
The first thing that I wanted to talk about was Samsung coming out with AirTags before Apple does. So Samsung has what it's calling smart tags, and it's based on the SmartThings platform. And there are two different types of tags. So I guess when you buy any of the new Samsung smartphones, you will get a free smart tag shipping with it, which is kind of cool. And so you will get to try this out. But there's Smart Tag and then Smart Tag Plus. And Smart Tag is akin to what you already know about. If you've ever used Tile or Tracker or any of those tracking services, it uses Bluetooth LE, Bluetooth low energy technology to help you find a product. So, for example, I've got I think it's a Tile that my townhome complex gave me whenever I first moved in, and it's like branded with their logo on it or whatever, but it lets me find my keys if I lose them, or the reverse of it is I can click the little button on my keys to find my phone if I lose it, and it does that by communicating over Bluetooth. That said, there is a Smart Tags Plus, and the Smart Tags Plus uses ultra wideband technology, which is, of course, the thing that I've been excited about for a long time. I've been waiting to see products that have it, that feature it, and that is finally the case with the smart tags. So I'm excited about this simply for the fact that I want to see ultra wideband technology out in the world and see it get used by people. So I'm looking forward to folks getting their hands on these and getting to try out the UWB technology that is better than Bluetooth LE for finding stuff. It is much more accurate and can help you pinpoint where something is in a given space. So like knowing that I'm 10 feet away from this thing is not as helpful as knowing that I'm 5 inches away and it is, 30 degrees to my left. That's much more helpful, and that's what ultra wideband can do. Pretty impressive technology.
Yeah, I'm so excited I want to get that on iPhone. I mean, iPhones have the tech, but not the tag part. And if there's shortcuts automations with that, like when you get close to one, that's going to be so good. That's going to be so much fun. So that's going to be amazing. I feel like this is also Samsung has released the Bluetooth one, but not the ultra wideband one. It's a perfect first, because now when Apple does it, they'll make a commercial mocking Apple for copying them, even though it's been rumored for years now. So gotta love the consumer marketing angle there.
Yes. Let's see what else. I wanted to touch on this too, because I was watching All About Android the other day, and I have to tell you, Samsung, bravo for looking at the fact that there's tech waste and there's a lot of consumer technology waste, and that people maybe don't know what to do with their old devices. And so Samsung has this feature that lets people upcycle their old Galaxy phones. So you may have an extra Galaxy phone, kicking around in your drawer or something like that, and you aren't currently using it, and you need a use for it. And so what Samsung has done is it's created this, or it's announced rather, this new thing called Galaxy Upcycling at Home. And what it does is it lets you take your old Galaxy smartphone and turn it into, say, a child care tool. So it uses the sound sensing technology and can let you know, hey, the baby's crying, or monitor the baby in some way. So it says, by putting the phone on a charger in the room with a baby, special software could detect a crying baby and send notifications to other devices. Alternatively, Samsung Knox could play a role in making these devices useful for at-home security purposes. Some pet care features were also teased. Another use case shown below is the ability for the device using the SmartThings app to detect low light and turning on smart lighting within the home. So it senses that things are dark in the space and then realizes, you should turn on the lights. So all sorts of ways to take devices just hanging out in a drawer and use it for so many different things. And I love this. I think this is brilliant. I think this is the right thing to do. They're continuing to look at ways of using these tools. And I can think of lots of different projects that people have come out with for trying to upcycle their devices on their own, installing, custom features and whatnot. But to have it just built in, or to have a way to like flash the software and give it these tools, I think is great. So yeah, I am all about this idea. And I hope that other companies follow suit, because I've got some old iPhones kicking around, and it'd be cool to turn them into whatever, any number of these things.
A good tip is the PushCut app, which is related to shortcut stuff, but the developer has created what he calls a home automation server that you can have an old iPhone that just basically stays unlocked, and then this app looks for like messages from your actual phone, and then can run shortcuts for you on that phone and do other types of automations, because it's basically a server at that point. So there is types of things like that, but I think this is the kind of thing that Apple should add to the iPhone, especially as more and more, it's like at a certain point, people do have these. I think I have an iPhone 4 even that technically could still work or something like that. So
yeah, exactly.
I think it's smart. And it does seem like something that Android actually would do first. And there's even more phones out there. So I'm glad Samsung is doing that.
All right. Up next, our picks of the week. All righty, Matthew, what is your pick of the week?
I just want to mention Hoobs again to people, because I have had this for a long time, but haven't really done a whole lot of setup with it. I also can't recall. I thought it was $99 originally, and it looks like it's more expensive now. So I'm not totally sure there, but you can set it up on a whole Raspberry Pi thing just with the download. But Hoobs is, I guess I should say it, is Homebridge out of the box with an S at the end. I'm not sure why, but it's a way to have
Homebridge out of the box.
Homebridge, which is a HomeKit automation server, kind of like PushKits that I was mentioning, that just lives in this little device, and you can plug it into your Ethernet, and then it's powers additional products that you can add into your home. And so I wanted to mention this just in case anybody wants to get it, because I did install a ton of stuff on it, immediately got overwhelmed, and then stopped using it. And so I'm going to be doing this for a future project, and getting more into that space. So I want to hear from people if they do have setups, and I'm going to be sharing it with you all. And I don't think next week, but in a couple weeks.
I've got two Elgato key lights here, the Key Light Air and the Key Light Norm, and they are not HomeKit enabled by default, but I have them. I have my home app open, and I've just turned off the key lights just with that. So I have a scene in HomeKit set up called On Air, and anytime I come into my office, I can set the On Air scene, and it turns on my bright key lights and all the other stuff. So yeah, Hoobs I've used it for lots of different stuff, including my smart garage door opener and these key lights and some of the plugs in my house that are not HomeKit enabled by default. So all very good, and highly recommend. Even if you don't buy the Hoobs box itself, if you just get the Hoobs system and install it on a Raspberry Pi or something like that, it is very helpful. All righty. Well, last week, I think it was just last week, one of the news stories was about some of the new products that Saatchi had come out with, including a new wireless keyboard, or I think it was 4 wireless keyboards, two that were, one that was like it. There were wired and wireless options of a keyboard without a numpad and a keyboard with a numpad, but then also a desktop stand for the iPad made of aluminum, and it looked pretty sleek, looked pretty sharp. And I said it would be a great product to have on my desk for whenever I do shows like iOS Today, where I need to tippity tap away on my iPad and have it kind of held up. So Saatchi sent me the new aluminum desktop stand for iPad. I have it here. It is incredibly lightweight. I mean, it has heft to it so that it's got the base that will keep the product on the desk, but it's nice machined aluminum. It's got chamfered edges, just like Apple's products. And the hinges, it's got a hinge at the base and then a hinge for the part that holds the iPad. And each of those move independently. So the hinge at the base moves up and down. And that one is a lot more tight, which is good. You want it that way. And then the one at the top is a little bit easier to move and moves all over the place. At the bottom of the stand itself, there's a place for you to plug in your iPad if you want to, so that you can have it sitting
vertically,
up, vertical, and keep it plugged in and charging. And then you can set it the other way as well, horizontally into the base. And then, it's I don't know, it holds the iPad very well, and it makes it very easy to adjust in different ways and kind of have it looking at you exactly as you need. So
could you use it like down on the desk as like a easel almost?
Yes.
Like if you pull it forward and back?
Yeah, watch. I know what you're saying. So this can come forward like that, and then this can go back. And so this would be sitting on the desk.
So it's like one like stand. Okay. I need one of those.
Yeah. So $45 is actually a really good price for this piece of machined aluminum that has all of these different endlessly adjustable ways to hold it. it doesn't feel, it's like there's no cheapness to it at all. It feels really high quality. Like I said, it's got the chamfered edges, which is a more expensive, additional process that they don't have to do, but choose to do. And so, yeah, I've got to give props to Saatchi because they've been coming out with some very good products for Apple's devices, of which this is one of them. So the Saatchi aluminum desktop stand for iPad. $45 available on Saatchi's website.
They must have held it against me for constantly mispronouncing their name.
Yeah, exactly. Now we know Saatchi. You'd think it'd be Saatchi because tech, but no, Saatchi.
Saatchi. That's what I was thinking, which is even further. So
anyway. Folks, if you have questions for us, questions you'd like to have answered, we're going to have to do another questions episode soon because they are building up, and that's good. It's good. Send in your questions if you haven't yet. STT, that stands for Smart Tech Today, STT@twit.tv. That way we get those questions and we can collect them and answer them on the show. Of course, you can tune in live to watch the show. We record it every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 1:30 p.m. Pacific or 21:30 UTC. You go to twit.tv/live to do that. But the best way to get the show is by subscribing to the show. And you do that by going to twit.tv/STT and clicking to subscribe to audio or video in so many different places: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, YouTube, all those places and so much more. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can get you can get Smart Tech Today. Also, make sure to do something for us here that is very helpful. It's taking our survey, Twit's 2021 audience survey. If you go to twit.tv/survey21, that's how you can get access to it. And basically, you just go through, you answer some questions about yourself. It is, you don't have to name and email and all that stuff, so it remains completely anonymous. But it just lets us know who's out there, who's listening, and helps us make sure that our sponsors line up with the audience that we have, and that our show choices line up with the audience that we have. So we do appreciate you for filling out that survey. That's so helpful every time. And one other thing you can do to help us out here is going and rating or reviewing the show in your podcast service of choice. Wherever there are places to put stars or thumbs up or leave some text for us, we would appreciate that wholeheartedly and very much. Matthew, if folks want to follow you online, where can they go to do that?
I'd say the best space right now is my website. And for anyone who doesn't know, I do have a membership program at matthewcassinelli.com/membership. I wanted to mention it just because I'm starting up members-only live streams now. So I did one this week where I talked to like a small group of people and just talked directly about shortcut stuff to everybody. And so that was a ton of fun. It's weird how when you actually know who's listening versus going to more people, it's more like I'm like, oh, I can tell what's happening. I'm not just like doing a weird stage thing or something like that. So I had a lot of fun. And it's like the beginning of the year. So if you sign up for the year, you'll get all of the year of that stuff. So it's lots of fun. I'll have to get you in there sometime, Mikah, and maybe we can do a thing about how we produce the show or something like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Now I am on Twitter. You can find me at Mikah Sargent. You can find me at Mikah Sargent on pretty much all of the social media networks. But the best place to go is chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee. By going there, you will get access to all the different places I exist online. Yeah, I think that takes care of it. It is time to say a good afternoon to all of your smart assistants.
Have a good end of the week.
Sometimes the news of the week is best told by the people making and breaking it, and that is the essence of Tech News Weekly. Join me, Jason Howell, along with my co-host Mikah Sargent, as we interview the people who are breaking the news that you're probably already talking about. Plus, sometimes we actually get the people who are making the news, the people behind the story. That's Tech News Weekly on twit.tv.